Well, now before we get into last night's presidential debate, tell me about the ADL. What are your missions and values as an organization?
The ADL is the oldest anti-hate organization in the world. We were founded in 1913 after the lynching of a Jewish man with a very simple mission that literally we still use today. The words haven't changed. Our purpose is to, quote, stop the defamation of the Jewish people and secure justice and fair treatment to all. So what we focused on for more than a century is this realization that to defend the Jewish people means to defend all marginalized people. And only when everyone is free from hate, so too will the Jewish people be free from hate. So we use advocacy, we engage in education and work with law enforcement to track hate crimes against Jews and other minorities and to find ways to deal with those challenges.
Absolutely. Well, now talking about last night's debate, mediator Chris Wallace asked President Trump, quote, "Are you willing tonight to condemn white supremacists and militia groups?" In which the president responded saying, quote, "Proud Boys should stand back and stand by." First off, what was your reaction to the president's response and what did that necessarily mean?
Well, I thought, you mean, when you say what did it mean, what do I think he meant by his?
Yes.
I thought the president's response was quite astonishing. I mean, here, Chris Wallace handed him literally on a silver platter a very easy opportunity to call out white supremacy at a time when we've seen violence in the streets across the country, coming off of 2019, the largest number of anti-Semitic incidents the ADL has ever tracked in our history, coming off of a moment when we've seen a rise of racism against Asian people, against Latinx people. And so in this moment, he asked the president a pretty simple question. The president's response was stunning. Now, the Proud Boys are a hate group, plain and simple. They call themselves a pro-Western fraternity, but they engage in a kind of rhetoric that's anti-Semitic, that's misogynist, that's incredibly toxic toward immigrants, and very homophobic. They've engaged in violence, and members have been arrested here in New York, around the country. They just had a huge rally in Portland and another in DC this past weekend. They are a very problematic organization, so much so that they were thrown off of Facebook and Twitter just a few years ago. ADL was involved in that for promoting hate. So when the president said he wanted them to, quote, stand back and stand by, look, I don't know what's in the president's head or in his heart, but that comment was taken as a call to arms by the Proud Boys. How do we know this? Because the ADL tracks the Proud Boys and other extremist groups. And last night, literally, as he spoke on their social media services, they were applauding. They were cheering him on. Their quote unquote chairman said last night online, "Standing by, Mr. President, we're ready for you." They were creating memes, Regina. They actually had created t-shirts they're selling today on Amazon. So they saw this clearly and convincingly as a shout out to the rest of us. I mean, at best, it's hard to imagine, which is why I said immediately online on Twitter, the president either needs to, give us an apology or an explanation. Either this was a bad answer or this was an admission that he thinks that these are his allies. And I got to tell you, as a Jew, as someone who runs an organization that works and tries to assist Black people, Hispanic people, LGBTQ, etc., I got to tell you, the Proud Boys are not our allies. They oppose some of the very ideas that we hold dear, like diversity, like equality, like inclusion, the things that hold America together. These people want to tear apart. So I find them very problematic.
Absolutely. And now the Proud Boys, I see that the ADL has a team that has done that extensive research. So how do the Proud Boys involve themselves with Republican political establishments?
Look, I've got to be honest. The Proud Boys are not part of the political establishment. These extremists who we're talking about, they don't deserve a place at the political table. They are not part of any conventional dialogue. There is nothing partisan in calling out the kind of hate that they represent. there are plenty of Republican elected officials, who've spoken out again and again and again when organizations like the Proud Boys have shown up in the public conversation. Let me just give you an example. In 2017, it was a member of the Proud Boys who organized that rally in Charlottesville. And Paul Ryan spoke out. And Mitt Romney spoke out. And John Hunt spoke out. And so many other Republican luminaries immediately called that out. So when we're talking about the Proud Boys or other, extremist groups, let's kind of right here, right now, dispel the myth. Again, they are not on any conventional political spectrum. They don't deserve a seat at the table, and they don't want one. They don't believe in the things that conventional conservatives or standard libertarians or anyone else on, again, the normal political kind of pie chart subscribes to.
Absolutely. Now, we are just a little more than a month away from the election. As the CEO of an anti-hate organization, what do you and the ADL wish to see moving forward?
Vis-a-vis the election and the campaign?
Yes.
Well, look, I would feel encouraged if the president could clearly and, if you will, convincingly look the American people in the eye and say to them that he doesn't support white supremacists, he doesn't support hate groups, that he misspoke last night, that it was a mistake, and that these people have no place if it were to pass in a second Trump administration. It is almost inexplicable to me that I have to ask for this. What I want to see over the next 5, 6, 7 weeks of this campaign is both candidates call out extremists of any sort, right? They don't belong at the table, whether you're far left or far right. I want, number 2, both candidates to say they abhor violence and it has no place on our streets, and that there will be a peaceful, not only a peaceful or commitment to a peaceful transfer of power should it come to pass, that they and their followers will abide by the outcome of the election. Look, the ADL for over 100 years has had fidelity not to the Republicans or the Democrats, but to our Constitution, to our system of governance, to this liberal democracy. So what I want as we head into this very pivotal election, in this very fraught time, Regina, is both sides to renew their commitment to their Constitution and to the democracy which we all hold so dear.
Absolutely. Do you have anything to add, Mr. Greenblatt?
Well, I think last night it was less a debate, more of a debacle. And I think it becomes very clear that, again, there's nothing about, for me, I run a 501c3. We're a nonpartisan organization. I don't really care how people vote, but I do care what they value. Extremism and hate, I don't believe that they have ever made America great. I think it is compassion, it is diversity, it is respect for other people. That's what's ultimately bound together this republic for 240 years. I hope both candidates will recommit to that in the weeks, months, and years ahead.
Well, thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me.